The theater pathway or the theater choices for students, that's one that we're noticing students have the least experience with. Many kids will say that they were in a play in second grade, but that's mostly the extent of most of our students. So one of the things we require, especially with our new sixth graders, that they do a rotation and they have to do sort of sample dance, theater, music, and visual art. That's the beginning of what we're noticing piques some interest in students that would not normally be choosing theater because there's something about it that makes them nervous, or they're not quite sure what it means, or they're like, oh, I don't know. But then they sample it and they, oh, okay, I think I can do this. So theater department, at the middle school level, what's really exciting is that then those students who are now choosing it because they discovered something that they love about it, we're noticing there's a whole nother sort of life, what am I trying to say? How you are in your being, in your body, in your space is developed through theater classes. By that I mean students who are maybe dealing with, they're angry about something that's happening at home. There are ways in a theater class for that to get out that's constructive and is actually part of the exercises that they're doing in a theater class, and it sort of frees them then to go to another level as they're working with theater instructors. When the students hit high school, they have to pick a pathway, and within the theater department, they actually have three choices. There's the technical side, which is about everything that's sort of back of the house, whether it's lighting, sound, set construction, costumes, anything that goes into what is needed to produce the play. That's one pathway. Those students still have to take acting and directing classes. They need to know all of it, but they are still skewed more to taking more technical classes. There are students who are choosing an acting directing pathway, those who really do want to be on the stage and they know it and they just want to get better and better at that and also direct other actors. They also have to take technical theater classes, again, because they need to understand and appreciate what sort of all the back of the house folks are doing for them. And then there's a musical theater pathway. Musical theater are for students who are singers, actors, and dancers. We knew we were going to bring that as an offering at some point, and we now have the faculty to do that, so it's the first year we've offered musical theater. Oh my, I don't even know how to start, because those 41 students that I heard 2 days after they just learned a piece from a chorus line, to hear them sing, they were still learning the piece. It was a sound that was, whoa, they don't even need to be mic'd on the Muni stage. That's how much vocal power we're talking about. At the same time, some of those students are better dancers than others, and so those who need a little support are getting specific dance instruction on what is needed to be on a stage to do musical theater. Some of those students actually maybe need more acting. They're great at singing and dancing, but don't quite understand acting is the one area that they need some support on. So they're literally being divided into what they need more of this year. So they're being workshopped at one point altogether. So I say all that because the theater department has lots of areas within the theater department. One of the challenges has been that we haven't had a theater. And with the renovation of the Sun Theater next door, it's going to be very exciting for all the departments, but especially for the theater department, because at the end of the day, you still need a performing space. And we do have a small theater performing space, and we have borrowed theaters before. But now, for the first time, we really can spend time doing production with building sets, and we have students who are learning how to do that, as well as students in the visual art department as well, not just the tech students. We will be able to add light and sound in our own house that they're learning as they go. So it's that performing piece it's been a challenge to work around that without having a performing space. But our theater students are very eager for that to happen, as well as the faculty. Even though most of our theater students are coming in with not much experience, we have the same problem. It's not a problem, it's a challenge in all the other arts departments, which is we have students who have been cast in plays in community theater since the time they were little kids, and they still are being cast in shows. And we have students who've never had any training before. So it's a similar, how do we bring them up to this level? Teaching them what do they need to know and how do they audition? So if you've not had any experience or training, they might be in fact very talented and learning very quickly, that they they're the kind of actor that a community theater director would love to have, but how do they audition? What do they need to know? How do they do that? So that's all part of what the faculty does to widen the door for all of the students, not just those who already know how to do that. And again, so we look for faculty, what do we do with a student who's already been doing Shakespeare work for 2 years and a student who's never read Shakespeare before? So it's a challenge, but we find that the faculty love that challenge. They like to push themselves to provide for the student who's had lots of experience and the student who hasn't had any. I also would like to say that we have had students who've been cast in plays and they need to leave for 2 or 3 weeks. It happened most recently last year, and when the parents first approached me about the situation, I said, if we can't make that work in an art school, we just need to shut our doors, because that's the kind of kids we get. So if your child was cast in a play and he's got to go out of state for 3 weeks, we need to figure that out on our end, how to make that work. And so for me, as a public school, I do a lot of trying to figure out how to make things work because of the kind of students we have, because they are not typical. So the theater department is, they're well on their way to showing the world what youth actors can do.